Make tracks sound better. So let's talk about that first purpose of EQ that we talked about, which is to make tracks sound better. And we're just going to keep working with our piano here. And what we're going to do is we're just going to start manipulating these curves and boosting and taking things away to make our piano sound a little better. One of the tricks you can use is you basically take and maybe make your cue a little larger so that you're more narrow, and boost a frequency and move it around until you find what makes it sound bad, and then take that away. So we can boost this up and we say, hey, that's really kind of nasally stuff and such there. So I'm gonna, if I pull that out, you get rid of some of that nasally aspect. Okay, and you can do the opposite as well. Pull stuff out and say, okay, I just lost all my high end. That's really the aspect of it that I want. So a lot of times when you're working on stuff, in order to get that subtlety that we've talked about, you have to go kind of extreme to hear what you're doing and find what you're looking for, and then kind of back off. So, a lot of times you're going to be boosting it up nice and high while you're finding it, and then once you find the frequency you want to use, you just kind of back it down into place. So we basically have our piano sounding a little better now. So we can bypass it. There's before. There's after. Pretty subtle, but it just sounds a little nicer. And so this is the tough one because the piano actually sounds pretty nice already. And so it's kind of tough to use EQ to make it sound better. But when you have something that's been recorded badly, coming at it from this perspective, taking the EQ and just focusing on making it sound better is really good. You'll notice that we haven't listened to the piano in the whole mix. And that's one of the hang-ups that happens when people are focusing on using EQ to make stuff sound better. Is if I went through each track and EQ'd it to make it sound really good, I put everything back together and it would be a big mess because nothing's fitting together. And that's that third purpose we talked about, where you're making everything balanced together. And so if you focus too much on making things just sound good individually, then you're going to take away from making stuff balanced together. And so it's good to use sometimes. Maybe you start this way, make it sound as good as possible with the EQ, and then you unsolo it and you start maybe pulling stuff back out. Because I can tell you one thing, once we open up this mix, we're not going to necessarily want to boost the low end of the piano, because that's going to fight with our bass guitar and our kick drum. And so we might want to pull that down once that time comes. But maybe this is going to be a solo piano piece. And if that's the case, then you can go ahead and just go crazy making it sound good. But at this point, that's where you would say, okay, let's go on and unsolo it and start adjusting it with the rest of the mix. But for now, we can go ahead and keep it like it is. And when we get to that point, we'll be able to pull some stuff down and make those changes. But that's how we can go about making tracks sound better individually with EQ. A lot of boosting happening, but also that technique, remember, of raising and moving around your frequency until you find what makes it sound bad, and then pulling that frequency out. And that's how you make tracks sound better with EQ.